Welcome back from the break, folks. We are getting into the third match of the day and what will be the final play day of stage number 2. Okay, we've got Luminosity Gaming and we've got Nocturns. Cookies. Uh, at the beginning of the stage, if we were talking about Luminosity, well, before any games were played, we're like, these are the guys to these are the guys to beat. They're the top dogs. Then we got a few games in and we were like, hold on, this isn't going so well. And now after a few games, we're like, yeah, they're the top dogs again.
Yep, they're on the longest winning streak right now. They have 4 wins in a row since I think Silent tweeted something about his teammate. And you know what? They've turned it around. The highlight player was the guy who was tweeting about, by the way. It's funny. 13-3 on entry, plus 22 overall. Ferda has been unbelievably consistent. Some would say more consistent than the other stars of this team. Though Silent over the past couple of games, especially in this win streak, has been incredible as well. I can only put one highlight player here, guys. I'm only one man. But yes, Luminosity, huge winning streak, huge stakes in this game because they can go for a back-to-back here. They need 3 points against this tough Nocturns roster to have a chance at winning stage 2, all right? Because if they don't get their 3, it's going to go to Oculix or Reality TV. So they need their 3 points.
Not necessarily.
It's a tough roster.
What do you mean
indeed.
not necessarily? See, Daps?
One Shot has 2 games today.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, but they're going to lose both games.
Okay, well, we're not talking about One Shot right now. Nocturns, Connor, you know what? We always think of them as, a middle of the pack team. And ironically, they are middle of the pack right now, but only because other teams have been that much more amazing. But Nocturns has been turning heads. I guess there's a pun there with owls as well.
Yeah.
It wasn't intended, though. Trust me. I'm sorry. I know I do it too much. But they have been turning heads because they have been lights out in some of their games.
I mean, I was going to bring up that, hey, guess what? They have the only 7-0 that we've seen in Stage 2, but Aqualix went ahead and tagged on their own name into that by both beating LSR 7-0, which is rough. But if you look at how Nocturns won that game as opposed to what Aqualix did, Nocturns looked like a more complete team because the rounds didn't necessarily need somebody stepping up and going huge and getting a 3K or getting a 4K or getting an ace. Because on this Nocturnes roster, every single name you see, from Poison all the way down to Xeno, they can frag out. They can do well. And Doc has actually been phenomenal here in his rookie season, coming out of seemingly nowhere, potentially putting up Rookie of the Year numbers over the likes of Asian and Dexter, which is hard to say because, that 1.23 rating and plus 20 on Flex might be a little bit more impressive than somebody holding an LMG or getting to chill on Yana.
There's a lot to talk about going back to Luminosity Cookies because as good as they are, they may have their hands full with Nocturns.
Yeah, they've pretty much had their hands full in every game. LG hasn't been a team that just kind of raffle stomps people. Like, every game has just been, I describe it as dirty and dynamic. I would say that Silent himself is Dirty Dan. Okay, this guy, he's hitting crazy flanks. He's hitting fadeaways like the late Kobe. He's nasty with it. And Silent, of course, is one I wish I could have highlighted him in the player highlight. He's nasty. Ferd is consistent as hell on the entry. Asian is nasty too. The team's very dynamic and skilled, right? We know this. And also, Nocturnes is almost certainly going to bring out the shields. Nocturnes has like this Osa arc they're going through right now. They're playing it really well. They've also been known to bring out the Montaña. So those are things that can kind of neutralize a frag heavy. Like Silent can't do anything against Montaigne, right? He's going to have to back off. I think we'll see that today.
Nocturnes. Yeah. Cookies, continue. Sorry.
Excuse me. I'm sorry.
You should be sorry. We're trying to get a flow going here, and I'm trying to jump in, and you just won't. I'm kidding. I'm being mean.
I'm not going to talk anymore.
Connor, I'm sure you got some important points about Nocturnes.
Yes, because the biggest thing would be, like CJ kind of half alluded to by saying, Silent can't do anything against a Monty. If you allow Silent or anybody on this Luminosity roster to start heating up and getting pick after pick after pick, it's going to get messy. So, hopefully, the coaching staff of Nocturnes, which there's too many of them to name, have really drilled in the discipline into their boys, because all they need to do is just play together, play good old-fashioned discipline siege, and focus on the trade game. You can let Silent get a kill in a round, but trade him out. Don't let him get 2, because then he's going to be confident enough to go for 3 and then try to get the 4th kill. You can't let that snowball happen. And once again, that kind of bleeds into the next point of Doc on the opening is going to be pretty impactful. He's going to be necessary for the side of Nocturnes. So if they give him that little bit of extra support, maybe an extra drone, maybe an extra body following him up just in case he isn't able to win the gunfight, for Nocturnes, they should find a lot more success.
Okay, Cookies, I feel bad. I want to make it up to you. Can I move it back over to you for the map veto? Is that okay? I'm sorry. It's my olive branch.
No, I don't want to talk anymore. See, that's how about you talk about the maps here? Actually, just kidding. Villa's interesting. Nocturnes, right?
I wonder why they banned it immediately.
Yeah, tell me. See, that's why. Because you can have the segment.
Well, Villa, it was a map that Nocturnes never really played, and they whipped it out last week because they got absolutely bullied and manhandled in the map ban phase by Bio, and then they lost. And now there's a potential for this to have been a manhandling once again, but it seems to be more so on equal footing for this map ban phase. Luminosity and Nocturnes, they know what they're doing. They're going to a map in Oregon that, sure, for Luminosity, you might see as kind of their mainstay map. It's what they won last stage, heavily crutching upon. But Nocturnes in the one Oregon that we've seen, this is not the Nocturnes that used to kind of stink on Oregon, CJ. You know, the one there's a clip of you screaming about Marmalade with a pistol on Oregon, and it was not a good Nocturnes there. But what we saw earlier in the stage was Nocturnes do a pretty dang good job against Aerial Arise, like a 7-2 or 7-3 victory where they looked so incredibly dominant.
Yeah, when we talk Nocturnes, this isn't the Marmalade Nocturnes. This is the Mr. P Nocturnes, and these guys are for real on Oregon. It almost, this is like a, you haven't set that up at all. This is like a T3 reunion here. Poison, P, Mr. P, Asian. Those guys know each other very well, and I'm sure they know Oregon very well. It's gonna be a hell in a bell today on this Oregon, I think.
Well, I know these players are close to getting into it, so we'll do a couple last quick points as we see the predictions. Connor, are we going to see as close of a match as we saw in the previous one?
Yes, I think this is an overtime kind of game, and both of these teams, they could benefit from a full 3 points, but unfortunately I don't really see it going that way. I wish I was Doa right now and had a coin, because that's what it feels like this game is, just a complete coin toss with how equally matched these two rosters are. And it's really gonna, because of the map we're going to being Oregon, it's really gonna boil down to, hey, who's shooting better today? Nocturnes, they're explosive. If they can get a pick or two, that's how they push through as a team. And for the side of Luminosity, they like playing for picks kind of spread out, everybody playing their own game, and that playstyle does not work at all. If you do not get the picks, you do not win the gunfights.
And Cookies, a 5-second rebuttal here. I need you getting right into it because these players are ready to go.
I want Nocturne, switch it. That's all I have to say.
Ooh, okay. Well, we've got a little bit of a change up on the desk, but we are ready to go. Nocturnes, Luminosity Gaming, going in to Oregon.
See, Jonah, I think under any normal circumstances, right? If Nocturnes, or if LG were playing any other team, I'd be like, oh, it's Oregon? LG got this. This is their playground. But let's not forget who they're dealing with. We got Mr. P on the other side, and I guarantee he has a very particular and nasty game plan lined up.
Yeah, but this matchup, I mean, Mr. P aside, this matchup, I feel like it's set up to be one of the best we've seen so far at the stage. It sucks that it's happening on the last day when, I mean, these teams at the top are jostling for position, but like Connor said, overtime is expected, right? That's kind of the bar here, because both of these teams have looked very good. They both have 5 regulation wins under their belt. I think, what is it, like a 1 or 2 point difference separating these two teams in this top 6, top 8 picture right now. So, I mean, this is where both of these teams can solidify their position in that top 4, right? Luminosity, they've been looking good. High expectations coming into the stage. A rocky start, but they've cleaned it up. Kind of similar for Nocturnes. We didn't know where to place our expectations on this team, but they have impressed us week after week, and especially the last 2 weeks, I think they've looked even more impressive.
Yeah, Nocturnes have really turned up, and we just want to take a quick look at the standings right now. After the earlier game, and these are completely updated, Aqualix are in first place with 21 points. Took the Kids in second with 19, Luminosity in third with 17, followed by One Shot and Nocturnes, both with 16. So like you said, very, very slim point margin separating these teams. And I mean, the only reason why One Shot are above Nocturnes is because they have one more round in the differential. One Shot are plus 14, Nocturnes are plus 13. So if this goes to overtime and Nocturnes win, despite being tied in points, Nocturnes will have a better round differential and actually take third from Luminosity. So no matter what happens, if Luminosity do not win, they lose their third place spot. So this is still, despite it being a very late game in the stage, it's still very, very important. Remember, every round, every game counts because we have those global, or not global, but the year-long standings now, stage by stage. All those points accumulate. So, bans now done. Thatcher, Azami, Ying, and Cade. Very standard here for Oregon. Azami sometimes banned, sometimes not. Thatcher almost always banned. Ying, because Nocturnes loves their Ying, and she is oh so powerful when it comes to this map. And of course, Cade, don't want to have to deal with a Cade with no Thatcher. Pretty much means you don't have to take a Maverick anymore. Frees up your operator selection, but it also means that, like last map, Valkyrie and Mira are both up, one of which Poison will immediately bring.
Yeah, the Mira coming out on this basement site, as Nocturnes will be starting things out on the defense. But this defense, the majority of it, is not on the basement right now. Yes, there is utility down there, and Poison will be chilling with his Mira windows and a deployable shield or two. Xeno is currently positioned there as well. But we just saw on these top two floors, the majority of the Nocturnes defense focused on this right now. They've opened up that E-box hatch. That tells you right away that they're going to be holding some meeting control. They want to use meeting as long as they can as a defensive haven rather than a spot the attackers can just work their way into for free. In combination with that, you've got Doc applying pressure up above, hoping to make an impact in this position, and he will. Opening up the first kill of the map with a nice one onto Silent. He's not giving up this position too quickly either.
Like the analyst S said, Nocturnes, and LG both exude a lot of the same energy. Raw, fragging potential. They play off their guns, but with the style that LG tend to play, very solo-like, very, one guy with a drone in front of him, heavy play style, you have to win your fights. Like Connor said, if you're not winning your fights, then this playstyle does not work. And against Nocturnes, a lot of these gunfights, even if you have info, are going to be 50-50 if you do not have secondary firepower support next to you, because Nocturnes don't play that. They are just as frag heavy as LG, but they tend to play a lot more together. So you lost Silent. First and foremost, losing your Finka is huge. Losing Silent, also a really important pick for this defense. And Doc taking out another drone, getting back to site, Jonah. They only have 3 drones left, plus whatever Twitch drones Ferda still has to scope out the entirety of the site.
The intel's going to be a problem, but more than that, I mean, the fact that Doc was able to stay alive there and just barely escape down the tower stairs, that is very important for Nocturnes. Xeno as well, because he was undisturbed on the freezer stairs for long enough. He's actually going to retake into security, playing close on that freezer hatch. So Nocturnes, even though they're backing off, they're not giving up any of these positions for free. Instead, they are persisting in a couple of these positions and trying to catch Luminosity off guard. There goes Xeno, like we said, stepping up and getting that kill onto Kixro. Asian has been taken down by Poison. Doc finally removed from the board from this Nocturnes defense, but it doesn't look like it's going to matter. It's a 2v4. Now you've lost Eddie. It is all up to Ferda to make this one happen all on his own. He'll work his way into the site, cleaning up Lackey while he does, but with 15 seconds, he's going to have to finish off the round himself through the Aruni gate and right into the arms of Poison.
Well, LG are claiming that Mozzie was running a skin. I did not see which one it was, but I guess it was on the list. So hopefully we're safe and don't have to replay the round, but it's being paused. We're going to check with admins. We're going to see what's up. But either way, regarding that round, beautifully played by Nocturne, starting with the upstairs defense. Or, well, upstairs hold, I guess, from Doc, getting that opening kill on a silent, being allowed to drop away, and having coverage from his teammate, the Alibi, playing in kitchen. It took so long for Luminosity to shove those roamers back downstairs, and even after that, they had no info to work off of. You saw them trickling down through tower, trickling down through E-Box, not a lot of info to work themselves off of. I mean, they found a couple of good trades, but way too late into the round, ended up being a 1v3, and there's really no way that Eddie was going to be able to, or sorry, not Eddie, that Ferda was going to be able to work his way out of that one. And Nocturne is just showing, again, why taking these 50-50 gunfights against them is so dangerous. This is not going to be a team that lacks in firepower that Luminosity is going to be able to walk all over with solo pushing.
Well, now as we head upstairs, it is going to come down to what Luminosity can do to adjust. Thankfully, as far as they're concerned, they won't have to worry about a dramatic top floor extension, because as we are on the top floor, if Nocturnes want to play any bit of a roam, they're going to have to do it down below. We may see a couple of defenders in kitchen, in that dining area. Lackey right now in showers corridor, hoping to hunt for some drones. But these kind of positions, they're the kind of position you've got to give up a bit earlier in the round generally than what we saw in that last round, for example, with Zeno trying to retake that position and Doc lingering, pestering that attack as they try to work their way in. If Luminosity want to deal with them, they can take their time. They've got a lot of time to work with right now, and especially if they get aggressive like Lackey just did, Luminosity have a nicely placed Claymore lying in wait.
All right, so Ferda with technically an opening kill, completely outskilling Lackey, if I'm being honest. Poison, unable to get away. I'm surprised he didn't know that you can still be shot while reinforcing, and, well, the extension really falls apart. Lackey dead, the Goyo fallen back already, Poison giving himself up for free, and you lose all those gas canisters as well, and unable to reinforce, so the main breach is open for this attack. A lot of ground for Nocturnes to try and regain, with a minute 30 for the attack to play with. Plenty of drones this time as well. Even an Amaru lurking downstairs. Eddie getting a follow-up kill. It's now a 5 versus 2. Really tough situation for Zeno, now alone.
There it goes. It'll be Kixro to finish off the round, but it was Luminosity all day long. They didn't complicate things whatsoever. They didn't bother clearing out any players down below. In fact, they didn't bother clearing out much at all. The entire purpose of that round was just open up Master, push their way in. They sent somebody over to the tower side to apply some pressure from there too, but that was a very focused attack, and they didn't need to complicate it for good reason. Nocturnes were maybe a little aggressive for their own good. Lackey going for a run out, didn't spot the Claymore and died to it from there. Luminosity knew they had the advantage, and so they just kept applying pressure, and Nocturnes kept crumbling under that pressure. Poison trying to reinforce Closet while the pressure was being applied to him is a perfect example of a stressful situation. You make the wrong choice and immediately get punished for it. So tying us up at 1-1, Nocturnes hoping to try that one again.
Yeah, typically I would expect, a gas canister to go out on the balcony to shove those attackers back to make way for the reinforcement. I think Nocturnes definitely misplayed that extension and gave Luminosity a lot of opportunities. And, of course, it's on Luminosity for taking advantage of said opportunities they were afforded. So back to dorms we go, and you can see Nocturnes are not playing that same extension. They've got games fully barricaded off. Much more default. Now, they do have the Goyo a bit extended with his packs, but other than that, nothing crazy. You got a downstairs roam, which is pretty normal. Lackey is down there, I believe, tag teaming with Slothy to help facilitate that C4 from below. More Claymores being set up from Ferda. I'm not sure if he's going to push this. Lackey is sitting there waiting. He's also got Asian outside the big window. So again, very spread out to start with from LG.
Yeah, putting just about 1 or 2 attackers in as many positions as they can, right? Eddie entering through Armory, you've got somebody on the upside down rappel on the master doorway. You've got some pressure being applied towards the small tower side as well. just a bit of everything. Florida trying to make sure that they can get in safely if they want to enter down by a small tower and work their way through that Showers corridor. But of course, there are some defenders in position. Lackey is one of them as he backs his way up the white stairs back towards the site. Asian wasn't quite able to capitalize on that in time, but he's still lurking around. And if Lackey eventually rotates back down the stairs, he will find himself quickly taken care of by the Nook that is sitting ready in position. And there goes Asian. Actually, we see him taking a little bit of damage off screen. Looked like it was probably a bullet or two exchange, but a very well-timed nade will actually down Lackey.
No kill just yet, but Lackey is in a very exposed position. He could very easily be finished off if Asian pushes the issue. Still got Slothy downstairs. You can hear a Finka boost go out, and Silent starts the killing off, finishing the downed Lackey. So 2 rounds in a row, the Alibi ends up being the opening pick. Still on the hunt downstairs is Asian, searching for Slothy, wanting to disable this mutant, not allow his C4 to go through. Doc taking a lot of damage, down to just 1 HP, and Attic as Eddie just funnels his way in, finishes off the Omai. Plant going down from Kickstro. Poison dead in the sight from Silent. Nothing to stop it from below. Slothy's C4 misses. He's able to down and finish off Asian, but with the plant completed and coverage everywhere from LG, the dominoes fall and Luminosity take the lead.
Yeah, I love that phrase, a dominoes fall, because it really was one after another, which then allows Luminosity to have an advantage in the next fight, and then another falls, and then they're looking for another fight, and it comes even easier every single time, and all of a sudden, that entire, setup that they had built, the entire site that Nokturns had tried to hold, it just crumbles to pieces. So back-to-back Dorm's attempts do not come to fruition for them, as that one, although it was considerably more of a passive defensive effort, they still had similar problems, right? It was a couple of unknown attackers creeping their way into Showers corridor that gave Lackey some trouble, that exposed the player down below in security, that gave them a lot of difficulty when it came to actually holding off the site and preventing the push. It is tough to hold down Dorms for that reason, and that's why Nocturnes probably are favoring basement here, right? Favoring supply and laundry, because they can hold so much of the map, and they can stall out the attack, something that they are unable to do when they go to dorms on that top floor. But one thing that we're already noticing here, Harrison, and I'm sure you've noticed it as well, is that this is not the same setup we saw last time. That meeting hatch is actually reinforced.
Different player on Mira as well. It's Poison on Jaeger, Doc no longer on Mozzie. More shields for Nocturnes to play with. In the previous round previous attempt on round number 1, I think they had 4 C4s. Now they have considerably less, but much more bunker heavy, much closer to the chest, really forcing Luminosity to make their way in. I do have to question that decision a little bit, because what worked for them in the previous round is extending someone there, catching them off guard, and then spiraling that into good bunker play. But now you're allowing Luminosity control of the map. You're not really surprising them. You're going to let them set up, and they have tons of utility to deal with what you have.
Well, part of that utility game is going to come in the form of intel, and it's something we focused on last time in round number 1, because Luminosity, they struggled in terms of their drone economy in that mid-round. In part because Nocturnes were so far extended over the map, also, right, some poor drone placements and maybe a bit over-aggression with those drones. But the point is, Nocturnes were able to take them out early, and that gave Luminosity a lot of trouble when it came down to the eventual execute. The same cannot be said for round number 4. There are still 5 drones up in the mix with about 90 seconds to go, about the same time that remained on the clock in the previous round, where there were only about 2 drones remaining. So definitely going to help Luminosity in this eventual push. Still, not as many drones as they would like, but when it comes down to the execute, they should be able to take their time, take a step back, and get some information before pushing their way down the stairs. For example, you've got Asian trying to work his way down tower stairs, but now he knows he's got to worry about 2 different positions, both Poison on the close corner and Doc in pillar itself.
Luminosity has made some progress on the site, though, opening hatches, dealing with the freezer mirror window as well, opening bunker. Nades are shoving Doc back, but he's able to just claim the map right back. Finka boost goes out. Poison downed from a nade. This could be the opportunity LG needs. They're not pushing just yet, though. And Asian will pay the price. Beautiful shot from Doc. Unfortunately, Poison looking like he's irrecoverable. So, gonna be a technical 4v4 heading into the drop. Here comes Ferda. Doc now dead. Nade comes in as well to clear the corner. Slothy takes a long fight with the Vector and dies. And again, everything falls apart for Nocturns. Luminosity bully their way into the bomb site, and Xeno can't do anything. 3-1 now for LG. Nocturns decide to bunker up, and they get punished.
Yeah, that hole did not work. Luminosity read into that well and just brute forced their way in to some extent, but they also didn't have to complicate things. They ran through a pretty default take of that tower and pillar side of things. They worked on forcing those players in pillar out. They worked on choking off the other players that were in laundry and in freezer and working their way back towards supply. And by doing that, by applying pressure from bunker at the same time, they were able to just get kill after kill after kill. And it really was just well done. In part is due to the intel focus that we highlighted during that round, but also you just got to give credit to Luminosity for a well executed attack. Right? It's just all those little things went really well. They didn't lose any bodies as they worked their way in. They didn't over commit to one position or another. They made sure that they had a lot of different options, and when they eventually committed to that north side of the basement, they had all the instruments in place that they needed to have a very successful attack.
Nocturns are going to try again. Still rocking the mirror setup. This time they've got their roam, though. A play that actually worked. Doc once again upstairs. Lackey supporting him from below. Slothy on the roam as well. So a lot of presence now upstairs. Lackey going to get tagged up just a bit by the Twitch drone, but it's no big deal. He's able to take out one of the Twitch drones, one of the two, but the attack is downstairs. They're in the basement. They just make their way in. They figure, all right, if you're going to roam, we're just going to take this free control. The defense is trying to establish rotates to take the ground back. They don't know the Aruni's here. Poison and Slothy go huge. A double kill for Poison. And LG's sneaky play is found out.
Well, it looked like it was going to work, but Nocturns, they were ready enough for it. They got a couple of good call-outs. They heard him sneaking in, and, I mean, quickly pinched back on the site. I mean, look how many defenders are already back on the site. 4 of them sitting right there, ready to welcome the remaining 2 players from Luminosity. The last player is up above. That's Lackey, sitting on that E-box hatch in meeting, and actually also has a pretty good chance to support his team if an overwhelming push from these last 2 players can somehow overwhelm the 4 players on the site. But at this point, it's not looking likely. Despite the creativity from Luminosity, they're going to have to go for some sort of dramatic adjustment as they only have 2 players standing. Not a lot of drones they can work with only 2 in pocket, and they're going to have to find some way to pin down these final few, rather, these 5, now 4, Nocturns defenders. That's 1, as Ferda takes down Lackey up above, as we've said, but with the 4 remaining defenders on the site, they've got their work cut out for them.
Case also being forfeited smack dab in the middle of that double door. Had a nice little coordinated pinch there on the Lackey, but how much that actually means in the grand scheme of things might not be much. They've got a minute left to play with as Ferda drops in, shotgun staring at him. Xeno misses the initial pump, but there's still 3 C4s for the defense to play with as well if the frags start to go the attacker's way. 45 seconds now. Not a lot of info for the attack to work off of. 1 C4 goes out. The swing from Slothy to follow up nets Eddie. And Slothy, a 3K on the round. Actually, all 5 kills being Slothy and Poison. That puts Nocturns back in contention, back to a 1-round game.
It keeps them in the hunt here. Going down 4-1 would have been brutal, especially on Oregon defense. But 3-2, still anyone's game, right? They tried dorms twice and that didn't work. So to try to tie us up and get that 3-3 scoreline, they're hoping for, they're going to go to meeting in kitchen, try this tertiary bomb site and see what they can do. And I like this choice, namely because it enables Nocturns to extend a little bit and to play that top floor game that they've played pretty well in the 2 rounds that they've won. And the reason they've won those 2 rounds, right, is because of that roam and that extension. The first one, more obvious because Luminosity just went straight on into it and Nocturnes just straight up denied it. But the second one is, you know, essentially a result of having such a good roam presence because Luminosity's so scared to work their way into that they tried to just sneak their way into the site, and Nocturnes still had the wherewithal to circle back and deal with them. So if they can do this well, if they can manifest this top floor hold as long as they can, I mean, I think this could pan out well for them, and I would not be surprised if we go into the half all square.
I mean, the whole analyst desk talked about this game being very even, expected to be OT. I wouldn't be very surprised either. Very early C4 goes out from Xeno. The only C4 on the defense, but it goes very wide. Asian has already evacuated the window. So, bit of a wasted C4 there from Nocturnes. Hopefully not something that's going to punish them later in the round when they really need it. Twitch drone still being played from Ferda. He's been finding a lot of good utility picks with said Twitch. As in comes Silent, the spearhead that we all know and love, looking to try and rip away the top floor control.
Yeah, Silent will probably work his way in first, just waiting to get a little bit of an intel from his team, as Eddie will drone him in just a bit. A couple of explosions go off here as Doc threw out an impact grenade, maybe just trying to deal with a drone or two that work their way in. Doc actually gets substantially tagged here. Imagine a nade going over top. Either way, he is going to be in a bit of trouble when this eventual push comes in, especially if his teammates start to fall around him. Sloppy's gone. Doc is there, finished off finally, and Lackey now struggling to maintain this control all by himself. He'll likely have to consider dropping away very soon.
And there it is, the top floor hold definitely not going the way Nocturnes had wanted. Poison able to get one back onto Silent, but still a man advantage for LG and the top floor control in their hands. No C4 from Xeno either because he wasted it earlier. So no freebie onto the sledge or anyone peeking those holes. Poison, though, who came up big tower and was holding down Attic with the Alda, gets his second kill and evens the odds. He'll retreat back down to the site with his team. Now LG might be in a bit of trouble. 50 seconds left. Asian still on the first floor. Eddie still, or sorry, not Eddie. I'm not quite sure who that is upstairs, but someone has, or Ferda, someone has come downstairs to join Asian. Kix is opening up that kitchen wall to try and get that default plant spot down. And as long as Ferda is upstairs, no one from Nocturnes can stop that from above. And it doesn't look like anyone from Nocturnes is going to try challenging it and stopping it from above. Xeno has the 90-degree angle with the SMG-11. Ferda is not watching his vert holes. This could be a very easy kill, but they're actually coming through by security. Lackey's got the coverage, though. Down goes Asian. Ferda getting lit up by the shotgun. Finished off by Lackey, and Lackey goes huge. 3 for the alibi, 2 for the maestro. The Italians clean up, and we end even at the half.
And I mean, very key there for Nocturnes in the end, hanging on by a thread, but then making it look easy when it came to that eventual push from Luminosity. It looked like Luminosity had set that up for themselves, you know, pretty well. Of course, losing those 2 players on the top floor, not ideal, but with the control that they had taken, it looked like Kitchen was vulnerable from the back, right? They were able to open up that kitchen to dining wall. They had somebody in security pressuring from that position, or at least working their way around that security wall. They had somebody else, two people, trying to push in through kitchen with the player up above. I mean, you've got everything you could ask for, and it looked like Nocturnes had backed off a little bit too much. Little did we know that Poison was going to come up huge, right? The alibi that Lackey was going to come up huge and sneak in back to that site and get a lot done. You had the pressure being applied nicely from security by the defense, just denying a clean push in by Luminosity, with that tying us up 3-3. So anyone's game as we go into the second half. Neither of these teams yet to emerge as the clear favorite.
So, no clear advantage going into the half switch. Laundry going to be up first for LG, like we saw from Nocturnes. Similar operator lineup, only it's a Flores for the attack. And do they know about Eddie? They might have. Okay, I don't think they knew before. Now they know, because Doc was very haphazardly smashing away at the walls, and the Melusi was right behind it. Now Doc has info at his aid, and the Melusi has escaped to T3. Very interesting positioning from Eddie, and considering how late we are into the round, I don't know if Nocturns are going to drone that. Oh.
Ooh. Gonna send that drone up the ladder if you can. Take notes if you don't know how to do this. Doc is showing you almost how, but he wasn't able to get it all the way up, and I don't think he was able to identify the position of the Melusi here. That could be a problem if Nocturnes eventually expose themselves to that angle. Right now, it's not a threat, because Doc has actually still been wary of pushing in, but it looks like he may be about to. Right now, focusing on opening up an additional angle from Attic onto those tower stairs to prevent somebody from rotating up. Little does he know, there is someone right around the corner. So focused on the tower side of things, they just did not have a drone in position to spot out Asian.
Curious lapse of drone coverage. Uncharacteristic from Nocturnes, who are typically very on top of their info game on this attack, and now it's been about 2 minutes, and they haven't much to show for it. They're finally getting this laundry hatch open. They do have control of the middle floor, but still those two roamers upstairs, and it seems like Nocturnes are going to opt to just avoid them. Figure, you know what? If there's two people off site, we can take this 4v3. In comes Poison, taking the initial engagement against Kickstro, but doesn't know Silence in the corner. A double kill for Silent. Slothy finally starts the fragging off for his team, but too little too late, it looks like. It's just him and Lackey in a 2 versus 4. I think a 2 versus 3 as Silent has been downed, but he's not finished off just yet. Both these last attackers are pushing in from Freezer, and that's a bottleneck. Ferda, easy first kill. That leaves Lackey alone. In a 1 versus 3, Silent, his third, and Luminosity take round 7.
Yeah, clean from Luminosity through and through. In a large part, Nocturnes kind of just beating themselves in a way. Just the drone work, not there. Bit tentative about every single angle they pushed in that first 90 seconds. And what that did was it enabled Luminosity to exploit the roam just a little bit more. Asian had gone unnoticed up in Armory. He was able to hold a close position the top of those Armory stairs, waiting for someone to expose themselves inside of Trophy. Lo and behold, Doc did that very thing. He took so much time worrying about tower, establishing a rotate, an angle that he could look at those tower stairs from Attic, that so much time had gone by. And obviously we were focused on Doc, and you would think that at the same time Nocturnes are busy doing about 800 different things on the map, making progress in a bunch of different areas, but when we actually went back to that third person view, saw what everyone was doing, Nocturnes were sitting relatively still. It was as if they were holding angles and hoping that Luminosity would go into them. And maybe that's the Luminosity of old. But right now, we're looking at a disciplined Luminosity who aren't doing that every single game, who will be patient when patience is required. And they showed that to us in round number 7. Didn't budge. And Nocturnes just sat around and didn't get anything done in time.
And again, like I said at the beginning of that round with the poor drone game, that whole round, very uncharacteristic of Nocturnes. Despite Nocturnes, again, being a team with a lot of support staff, players that really do their homework, they're getting tripped up by LG. Not something that I expected. Maybe it's just the LG playstyle, kind of hard to completely counter-strat considering how fluid it is, how sometimes ratty it tends to be. You know, they're a difficult team to counter in the traditional way. More drones coming in from Nocturnes, though I don't know if they've gone as far as Z. That's where Asian's currently hiding, but he will back off, instead replaced by Silent Top Freezer, who will also tentatively back off. Many moving pieces from LG. Silent gets tagged up by a nade. Nocturnes do have pings on one, who's below the site, coming inside of Kitchen, looking to come under fire. More nades go through, but it's actually the opening of the hatch to allow Ferda an escape. And again, a lot of time being dedicated by Nocturnes and not a lot to show for it.
The Nocturnes are surprisingly timid right now, generally on the attack side. know, obviously respecting Luminosity's defense, knows that they do have to account for a lot of, you know, potential aggression in a lot of different positions this defense may be holding, like they discovered in that last round. But I mean, this indecision will only get them into more trouble. Kixro proves that. Eddie on the follow-up takes care of Slothy, and it's 3 versus 5 now for Nocturne with 60 seconds to go. Lackey has an idea of where Eddie might be positioned and lands a few bullets there, finishes off Silent, and Eddie has now been taken care of too. So just like that, it's still anyone's game. Oh no, but here's the problem. The diffuser has been dropped in the middle of the site, and Luminosity have complete control.
Good sneaky play from Doc, though, to tilt the man advantage in his favor. Now a 3 versus 2 is Nocturnes. They heat up in the middle of the round, get the kills they're looking for, and back off. Doc hits the back. Now Asian and Kixro find themselves alone. Finka boost goes out. Doc doesn't look to his right, but Zeno gets the trade. 2 versus 1 now. Plant going down. They've reclaimed the case. Asian is lit up. Down to 1 HP. He can't stop the plant. It'll go down. Zeno's sitting on it, but now he's the only one left. But no, the pre-fire not in time for Asian. Doesn't pull the trigger, and on such low HP, it's an easy cleanup for the final member of Nocturnes.
Wow, easy cleanup, sure, but where did that come from? Luminosity took the 2 opening kills, and Nocturnes just claw it back. Right when they lost those 2 bodies, I think this is what Nocturnes need to remember going forward. Right when they lost those 2 bodies, they probably thought, okay, let's just do whatever we can to get those kills back, because this is bad if we don't. That's when they got active. That's when they got a bit aggressive. And yes, it resulted in the case being dropped over in dorms, and that wasn't ideal. But what they were able to do was immediately, or at least within 10 seconds, and that counts as immediately, get those 2 kills back and get those trades. That quickly put us into a 3v3, a kill from Doc on the other side. All of a sudden, Nocturnes, they turned it from a 3v5 into a 3v2. That's the kind of Nocturnes that if they want attacking success, we've got to see all the time.
Hopefully they're able to keep up that energy for their sake. Otherwise, LG, we're looking to put this map away. They have been looking phenomenal in most of these rounds. Exception of dropping the ball in that last one. Just bringing this Valkyrie very consistently. Added info is always a blessing. Compounding that with the bulletproof, with the proximity alarms as well from Asian. Doc once again trying to get sneaky, opening his way up into garage and droning himself in. Poison sticking on the gridlock as well is a very curious choice. Gridlock is typically not really played at all, if ever. And definitely not on Oregon. She's more on like chalet, cafe. That's a lot of staircases, but we'll see if he's able to find some more use. Drone comes in, but info's not enough for Lackey to win the fight. Verta starts the fragging off in this round, but Doc gets the trade on Eddie.
Yeah, Doc has been a menace on the Nook in the last 2 rounds, just sneaking around this map, doing an impressive amount of damage to the side of Luminosity. He's got some intel to work with this time too, his teammates droning him in, but unfortunately, he will not get the best of Verta this time, as Verta was ready for that swing. They already knew the Nook was on the prowl, and I think Doc trying to surprise him there was maybe a little bit too hopeful. You're definitely going to have to assume that the defense is aware of your position, especially after you go that first kill. But with the 90-second mark now approaching and just arriving, it is Luminosity up by 1 man.
Verta making the wise decision to fall back as well. Like you said, right at that 90-second mark, figuring, all right, I've wasted enough time. I've gotten 2 kills. I can get the hell out of here, play for my life. I've got C4. I'm not useless. Poison, though, seems like he's going on the hunt. I don't know if they had info right there. They seem aware that he's dropped down, probably because security's clear. Figure that the basement is the only place he could have gone. But they'll turn their attention more so towards the site. Someone's staring at these white stairs, just waiting for Zeno to peek up. I believe that's Kixro on the smoke, but he's playing very passive, not giving himself away, waiting to play off perhaps someone's contact as he begins to gas off white stairs, restricting a lot of the attackers' access now to the site. Nade goes up, but barely deals any damage. Doesn't really do a whole lot, and I think it mostly landed on a hard wall. Xeno now evacuates the building, maybe looking to join Poison on this big window. He's still got smokes, still got track stingers, but there's Wamidis in his way. The flank coming up from Ferda as well is something that Nocturns are going to have to worry about. First smoke goes out, C4 in response, but it's far too early. Second smoke comes out. Poison now jumps in. He's got the coverage. He'll work his way through, land the kill on Kickstro, but Ferda gets that trade, and with the C4 down below, it's not safe for Poison to plant. Asian, the follow-up, leaves the gridlock alone with 5 seconds left, and he can't see his opponent thanks to the smoke, but no, ends up getting the kill, but has to sprint in. Asian gets the cleanup, and LG retake the lead.
All right. Almost identical to the way that last round played out, with Nocturns really taking their time before eventually challenging on the site. You know, a couple of differences, and the clear difference was the beginning, with Doc actually being able to get that opening pick and being effective through the early round, eventually losing his life to Ferda, of course, and then the mute dropping away. But in the late round, because those early scuffles had already transpired when Nocturns began that push, it really was the final phase of the round. They really didn't have a chance to work their way in and find those trades anymore. Despite the effort, despite the smokes coming out, and Poison able to, you know, move in unseen, Luminosity were definitely aware of that kind of play. Right, we saw the C4 go out in an attempt to slow Poison down. That jeopardized the communication and rather the coordination of Nocturns just a little bit, because Poison was delayed, then the players pushing up the white stairs were a little bit vulnerable, while Poison couldn't push in and provide that coverage yet. So those guys died, and then Poison was last alive in a very tough 1 versus 3. So Luminosity keeping us on our toes with who's winning this round. Continue this back and forth streak since we started the Luminosity defense, and they're going to head back to basement trying to replicate their round 7 success.
And just like we saw in the previous match, extremely back and forth. No team having a streak since LG won 3 in a row, rounds 2 through 4, and then Nocturns getting the last 2 in a row in that initial half. Otherwise, neither team really been able to shake each other just yet. Nocturns are, well, they're looking to do something different. This time on their basement attack, they have brought both a Blitz and a Capitao, 2 operators that don't really see a whole lot of play. Typically what you see from a Blitz is the elbow take. He rushes on in, doesn't care about the shield, flashes the player, and kills them, thereby denying the reinforcement as well, so giving a lot of control to the attackers. Capitao sometimes being brought to not only aid the push with smokes, but also fire arrows. You can put it into closet where the mirrors typically placed. You can put it in E-box, freezer door, right by the double door. You can put it in barrel. There's a whole slew of areas that you can put that that fire arrow down as long as you have the right info.
Right now, Nocturns, speaking up, are trying to gather that intel and decide when is it they should begin this bunker take. Like you hinted at, Harrison, you can see Poison and Xeno both in position, theoretically preparing to force out Kickthrow from that elbow corner. And upstairs, you've also got some progress being made. Slothy with that secondary hard breach charge will open up that E-box hatch, exposing potentially Asian down below if they can get some more hard destruction done there, but turns out, with the only hard destruction being those secondary hard breach charges, it looks like Poison, he's just going to commit to this take. Kickthrow, flashed, blinded, and now killed. Good take, exactly what Poison was hoping for. And with this elbow control, they can now blitz their way into the site, quite literally, as they dash on in. Doc will take care of another, but Eddie and Silent strike back in a big way. Eddie goes for 2. Lackey now has to do all the work himself because Poison was also finished off. And while everything was looking Nocturns for a moment, Luminosity, they clap back.
Eddie, I mean, the flank, perfectly timed. Nocturne's attack started off incredibly well. Blitz into elbow, uncontested, gets the freebie on kicks. Doc moves in as well, gets his kill on Asian and Pillar, and it's a 5v3. But right at that moment, Doc tries to press the issue, is killed from long haul, and Eddie gets a double flank. No chance for the attack. After that, Poison trying to regain ground, walks into the site directly into a crossfire. Silent is able to kill him easily, and Lackey can really do nothing to pick up the pieces. I mean, perfectly played by Eddie. Right place, right time. And again, Nocturne's info game. This time, instead of being on the entry, being on the flank watch, leaving a lot to be desired.
So close, though. I mean, looked like Nocturnes had it for a moment, right? It really did, because usually on a rush like that, or a rush attempt like that, it comes down to, can you pull off those first few kills without a hitch? Can you get in and take that control as quickly as you're looking for? If it gets denied, if you're slowed down by a smoke or something like that, generally that's when the rush attempts fail. But when you're able to get that initial kill, or two in the case of Nocturnes, it doesn't usually just swing around the other way so quickly. That's what Luminosity did beautifully right then, is that even when they lost a body or two, they didn't just panic and throw everything they had in the Nocturne's face. They decided, okay, we know where they are. We know what control they're taking. Let's step back, work our way around, go for a bit of a flank, try to catch them off guard too. And that's what worked so well. It's what Asian is also trying to do here as well. I mean, not reinforcing this meeting, actually barricading this meeting split double door, instead just allowing Lackey to walk in, and Asian was more than ready for it. Poison is also just in the site, trying to get early and aggressive, and it is not paying off.
3 versus 5. Xeno extremely lit up. I mean, a lot of good damage on these defenders, but it's no kill. Doc will finally nab one, but he also pays a hefty price. 1 man down. Nocturnes with a really early split push. Looked like they had some good control, but it was immediately ripped away from them, starting with Asian just swinging the corner, knowing exactly where Lackey was playing. No opportunity for a plant just yet. His case has still been dropped. Xeno looking to go ahead and pick that up, but there's someone watching it. Eddie ends up getting taken out, but Kickstro finds a very quick trade, following up with a gas canister to cover his tracks. Doc and Xeno, both very low. 1 bullet will put them both in the grave and win LG the map. A lot of presence towards that green hall, towards backstage for the defense. Doc could attempt to get this plant down safe in that corner, but would require some excellent coverage from Xeno. Great pick from Doc, landing the headshot on Ferda, and now he feels it safe enough to go for the plant attempt. There is coverage on the hatch, but they can't see that angle from there. Xeno is just tucked in the corner. Doc falls off the plant before resuming it. Silent is going to have to full swing it and wins the fight, but Doc steps up. A triple kill for him. Kicks watching the angle. All he has to do is wait. There's 40 seconds left. Doc could be the hero for Nocturnes, but he's going to try getting it down again. The gas canister comes out, but it's on the other side of the sandbags. It won't propagate through. The plant now completed from Doc. He looks towards where Kickstro is coming from, but Kicks wins the fight. Shuts down the clutch attempt from Doc. 3 is all the Sledge will get, and LG wins 7-4.
Wow, what a way to close it out, with the Nocturnes doing what they have done best for the majority of this map, and that is fighting to the bitter end. You can never count them out. But Luminosity, they've also got that fighting spirit. They're going to hang on and close it out 7-4, finally emerging with a few rounds in a row and proving that even though it was close, that they were the better team here on Oregon today. And the success that Nocturnes have had over the last few weeks has finally come to an end. On the final play day of the season, they will not be able to find that success again against arguably one of the toughest opponents there is out there.
Yeah, Nocturnes, they had a hell of a Cinderella run, but I mean, luckily for them, with Viper's loss, the worst that Nocturnes can finish is 6th, depending on how the rent-free game goes. Luminosity as well, putting themselves up to 20 points. So at least until the reality TV game, they are in 2nd. They will guaranteed finish top 3. So well done to both Luminosity and Aqualix for making great strides this season. And all that's left is TTK before we really solidify our top 3. But yeah, I really thought Poison was gonna bring more than that. I really thought his team was gonna take it to LG, but I guess my initial reaction was correct, that I mean, you just shouldn't take this team to Oregon.
Well, Harrison, you and I are done for the stage then, as it wraps
are.
up our third game of the day. It'll be Carter
That's it.
and John taking over in the casting booth for the remainder of the day. But for now, we will send it back to our analyst desk to give us a wrap up on exactly how this banger of a match really concluded.
Yeah, Connor, I agree with Jonah. This was a banger of a match, and I do really feel like, despite the 7-4 scoreline, I felt like Nocturnes did bring everything that they had. LG just brought more.
Yes, it's very rare to say that this was an Oregon game that actually got your blood flowing and a little bit exciting because, Oregon, Oregon, Snorgan, I never want to watch this anymore again. People have a million ways to describe this map, but what you were alluding to, Brim, and you were talking about, is that we still saw some takes and some nice attacks from the side of Nocturnes that you don't really see every day. And they definitely opened up the deepest level of their strat book, and they were not worried about saving anything. We saw the blitz play, we saw rushes back to back in rounds that were so close, and for Luminosity, it just came down to so many times their gunplay, where all their guns were hot, and they were just able to take these gunfights against Nocturnes, just one-on-one engagements, over and over again on this default-esque map where they're comfortable, and everybody on their team was able to shine.
Mm-hmm. And let's not forget, Cookies, that, Luminosity Gaming was not without their own faults. In fact, I believe they had 2 rounds where they blew some 5v3s. Not that that's impossible. It does happen from time to time, but, there's also, even in a victory, sometimes things to work on.
Yeah, we had a big debate in the green room. I was like, because we were just nitpicking at that point, but it was like, I think Ferda picked Twitch over, let's say, like breaching charges on another op or Flores. And we were like, oh my gosh, if Eddie didn't die on Sledge, they would have been able to like close out threat. But otherwise, it's like, other nitpicky stuff like that. It's like,
yeah.
LG played a complete game. It's kind of what I said in my critical point. It's just dirty rounds. Like they're doing whatever they can to hang in there. You got a blitz that just showed up out of nowhere with a minute left in the round. It surprises you. They still find a way to close out the round. That kind of sums up their stage well. And that's 5 games in a row now. And yes, as you said earlier, Connor, we're looking at those one-shot results. They are probably the best chance at passing Luminosity and taking that top spot, I would say.
Mm-hmm. Well, we do
Luminosity's-
have wafer. Oh, sorry, Cookies. You
I'm
give
sorry.
me those long pauses, man. You give me those long pauses, and I don't know what to do
I'm
with
sorry.
them.
I'm sorry.
He's letting the thoughts marinate.
I know.
Okay? He's a man of
I'm just
flavor
excited,
and
Brim. I'm just
culture.
excited, and I can't hold my excitement. Okay, but I'll be quiet.
Hey, you're right. Sometimes you just need that, that pause for dramatic effect. So I can't fault you on that one. But I'll have you pause even longer for even more dramatic effect, and then I'll get back to you. But I'm gonna talk to Wafer right now. Wafer, what a way to finish off the stage. Big win for you guys. How did you feel about your team's performance today?
Well, I feel happy. I feel like we played pretty well.
Mhm.
Depending on the situations, right? We played pretty well, so I'm actually happy with the result.
Mm-hmm. And do you feel now like, it's still possible? One shot is a couple of games left, but you guys are tentatively in first at the moment. Does this feel similar to last stage, or how do they compare for you?
I think it feels like pretty well for everyone. Right now we're focused more on like what's coming next on the stage 3, right?
Mhm.
Let's see what happens.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, what are some of the things moving forward into the next stage? I know we were saying on the desk we're being nitpicky at this point because you guys are playing so well, so we have to find some things to analyze and fix. What are some areas that you feel like your team could still improve?
I think the mental is the most important part that we can improve. I think we did a pretty well stage, like regardless that we throw 2 matches, 6-2, 6-4, something like that. It was. I feel we played pretty well. It's just like the mental, we have to improve it. But I mean, it is what it is. Every single team has an issue. For us, this is kind of like the first stage on CL for everyone. This is kind of like the first stage that everyone's like working professional or semi-professional. So I think there's a lot of points in the mental that we have to improve.
Mhm.
And in the behavior especially.
Well, I'm looking forward to see how you guys come out of the gate in stage number 3. Thanks a lot, Wafer.
Thanks. See you.
Have a good one. Well, Cookies, was that enough of a dramatic pause for you? Is there anything else you'd like to finish up with before we go into break?
No, I just think LG might be the second team to repeat. That's crazy. Okay, that's all I wanted to say.
Well,
I'm
there
so
you have
excited.
it.
I'm sorry.
No
Carry on.
worries. Okay, so
mind
we
me.
do need to go to a break right now. When we come back, the fourth match of the day will be rent free and one shots. Well, one of their two matches of the day.